Mayor Frank Whitfield here, excited to have this conversation with Sandusky City Manager Eric Wobser, and we're going to be talking about legacy cities and what it's like managing a city that has historic downtown, and hear a little bit about what's going on in Sandusky. So first off, welcome to the city of Elyria.
Mayor Whitfield, thank you so much for having me out today. It's been great to have a chance to spend some time with you and some of the other Elyria stakeholders this morning and talk about issues in the city, and you've given me a personal tour of your downtown.
No doubt. So what do you think about our downtown? What did you see and
I think downtown Elyria is beautiful. You know, the way that it is oriented around the park in the middle of the street, the great job that you've done restoring the public buildings in the community, the small businesses. I'm very jealous of the fact that of Keith's comic book store. I'm a comic book collector, and they do not have a comic book store in Sandusky, so you have really looks like a strong mix of locally owned businesses and some new investment happening, and it seems like a really exciting downtown and a great scale for your city.
And likewise, I've spent a lot of time, fairly amount of time, when I'm either going to Put-in-Bay on my way over there, which is one of my favorite places to go during the day. I've never been there at night. I hear it's a whole other place at night. I've never been there at night.
That's what I hear too. I've not been there either after late hours. So
but I love going out to Put-in-Bay and riding around, and of course going to Cedar Point. We do that often with our family. So talk to us about your downtown and how you all are approaching the development down there.
Well, I think a lot of it starts with exactly what you said, is the Sandusky area welcomes 11 million tourists a year, but I cannot tell you how many people that have told me, I've been to Cedar Point this many times, I've been to the islands this many times, I've been to Kalahari, but they didn't even know we had a historic waterfront downtown. And so for us, we know that what a downtown can do for a community is not only be a great place for visitors to come, but also be a great place to help attract residents to surrounding neighborhoods, to help attract businesses, because when people are deciding where they want to work or where they want to have a business location, the ability to attract talent increasingly is dependent on having walkable, vibrant, mixed-use downtowns. And so we wanted to build on our tourism in a way that created a downtown that worked for our neighborhoods and that worked for our businesses. And so we set aside created a priority, I should say, in 2014 to really create a destination downtown. And we've had over $100 million in reinvestment, and one, it started with kind of building on our assets, so everybody knows that we sit on Sandusky Bay and Lake Erie, but really it was the back of our buildings that faced the waterfront because they were historically for commercial and industrial purposes. So we redid our main street on the waterfront, Shoreline Drive, and took a pier, which was basically a 300-space parking lot, turned into a beautiful public space, and really built our redevelopment efforts around that. We've also supported, like we're seeing in Elyria, a lot of small businesses. We set aside some funds for economic development and really focused on them on revitalizing some of these historic buildings, as well as supporting new entrepreneurs who are creating business in these spaces. And we welcomed 2 new brewers. We had a distillery just break ground, and a lot of new retail and restaurants, and that's created a demand for the upper floors to become housing.
Can you talk more about like what your thoughts are? How are you attracting entrepreneurs? How are you supporting entrepreneurs? That's been one of my big things that I felt like we've fallen short so far as an administration of helping local folks get their business up and running and getting that opportunity to be in a storefront. So how have you approached that?
So we've done that in a variety of ways. One of the ways that we work on it is we have tried to create a stronger marketing and social media message for the downtown generally. So people think of it more as a place to do business, or if you're a regional visitor or a local, that's the place that you come down to have fun and to be exciting. And so when someone who's looking at where to start a business, they'll naturally think of downtown Sandusky because they're seeing that message get put out there. We also put aside funding specifically to help people offset the cost of reconstructing the buildings downtown, so that creates the storefronts that someone might occupy. And we also have economic development support specifically for those smaller businesses. But the biggest thing that I've seen is I think momentum creates momentum. So you figure out like who the champions are, like who's that one business that's open that's really fun following, and you get to know them, you support them, you build a community around them, and then work with others who want to come and be a part of that too. And we've been fortunate, we have a great group of entrepreneurs. And I think it starts by finding those entrepreneurs and making sure that they know that the city's going to really wrap their arms around them and be there for them and support them.
Is there a group that is in your city, like a Main Street or some group that's, a chamber or something that's getting these folks together?
Historically, we've had a Main Street organization. Unfortunately, that organization went under shortly after the last recession. Our new downtown plan, though, which we just completed a new downtown plan last year, looks kind of the next wave of investment, calls for the recreation of one of those organizations. And we're looking at setting aside. So right now, our city commission has passed legislation that dedicates a certain percentage of our funding to programming in the downtown area. And when we rebuilt the Jackson Street Pier, we had a series of concerts and programs that were very popular this summer. It opened last year, but we couldn't do it last year because of COVID, and so we really went big on it this year. So that's another way that we support that, is through that programming. And then in addition to that, some of those economic development dollars. What we'd like to do is take a portion of those programming and economic development dollars and combine those with philanthropic dollars and then other interests to create a new downtown organization that can take on sort of the marketing, the programming, and the placemaking of downtown, so that we can continue to focus on providing great services to the rest of the city and being a partner to that organization.
No, as I mentioned to you on our walk, we just formed this community development corporation through a grant we got from the North Family Foundation, and part of their focus has been on placemaking, events, been focused on downtown. They did this third Thursdays throughout the summer, got a bunch of attention down here, a bunch of energy down here. We're hoping that again is the sort of momentum we can build off of.
Absolutely.
That businesses will be able to see, oh man, I wish I had that storefront right there. I would be able to have something to cater to these folks.
That's exactly, and that's how it works. And that's what we've seen is you do larger events, you have anchor uses, and people come down, they see the space, they see it overlooking that public space, they know that there's going to be a steady flow of people through that programming, and then they bring it to life. You know, I don't think there's one magic ingredient. And I view Elyria, certainly there are many things that are similar between Elyria and Sandusky, there are many things that are different, but very similar to me growing up in Sandusky, now from passing by Cleveland. I knew Elyria from the Midway Mall because that was the big entrance, but I didn't know what a great downtown that you had. And I've seen that myself today, and I think that's a big part of your challenge and opportunity, is how do you introduce more of the region to this beautiful historic community that you have right here in the center of the city, and use that as an anchor for residents and businesses to come here as well.
No doubt. Well, we're excited that we have a new public information officer, and that's part of her role, is helping us lead us down that path, and for us all to get involved in helping to promote the beauty we have here in the city. But I've been anxious to meet you in person, so I'm glad we're able to meet. I'm looking forward to working together and continue to share notes with one another.
Absolutely.
And as we're getting through this pandemic and getting our legacy cities, hopefully leapfrogging some other cities in their development and restoring our cities back to their glory.
And likewise, I'm very impressed with what I saw today. I'm very impressed with what I've seen, the energy coming out of Elyria as another legacy city. And I think, you know, there's a handful of us up and down the North Coast, Sandusky, Lorain, Elyria, Cleveland, Toledo. We really all have to stick together because we share much more in common than we do apart. So I look forward to a continued partnership.
No doubt. Appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Likewise, thank you.